Well, welcome back, everyone. It is episode 12. Hard to believe it. So, unfortunately, I need to call this the Setback edition. As you will watch the video, you'll see no less than 5 different setbacks that I've encountered trying to get this behemoth behind me built and ready to rock and roll. The primary focus of this video is going to be pretty much revolving around all of this. DC electrical distribution. I've got a lot of stuff in play on that. Made a lot of progress, had a lot of setbacks, and we're going to go through each and every single one of them. I appreciate everyone being here. So with that said, let's get after it. Oh, by the way, one more thing. Have I ever mentioned how much I love this ramp? Just asking. For a friend. Have a great day. Well, welcome back. It is episode 12, Saturday, March 29th. It's actually in the morning this time instead of late afternoon. I've been busy all week. Unfortunately, I have to call this the Setback edition, and I'll go through some of that and let you know what's going on. I do want to give a shout out to my latest subscriber, Joe. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Hope everyone enjoys the videos and wants to subscribe. Please like, please give me some comments, questions, and things like that. And tell me what you want to see, and I'll do my best to make sure you get what you're looking for so that I can get people watching. I did get a lot done, but I also have a lot of setbacks that have put me way behind. I worked on this thing until after 11 o'clock last night trying to catch up to some of the setbacks. But let's take a walk, and I'll show you some of the things that we've got done over the past week and where we left off from episode 10, episode 11, and tie them all together in this particular episode and show you where we're at. So let's get after it. Well, as you remember in the previous episode, I got the felt lining on the walls. Got that up there, got it trimmed. One of the things you can see is I actually have a sealant in here now. And got that in place. Got my battery tray in the bottom fixed in and got it covered up with the felt where it needs to be. Probably one of the biggest things that I want to show you is I've got the inverters in, and if you remember in episode 10 when I tied them in, I was kind of concerned about the mismatch and they weren't level. Well, I don't know if you can see it very well in this, but I did a pretty good job. I did exactly what I said. I cut those pieces exactly the same size, lined them up and married them up and got everything done. And they came out pretty good. They are installed permanently right now, except for setback number 1. I've got, and I'll explain that in a second. Next thing that I want to show you is if we come over here to this side, I've got my solar charger in. I've got my DC to DC charger in. I finished out that wall, got the foam up, got my breaker panel all cleaned up and tied up, and got the cover on over the top of everything. One of the next things that I want to show you, which I thought was a major accomplishment this week, is, and it's a mess right now, I'm going to clean it up, but I've got all my electrical power tied in. Trying to provide you a little bit of a rundown on how this works. So if you look back here, you can see that cable coming out of the pipe. That is actually my shore power input. It comes around and goes into the electrical management system that I installed. Got that right there. That little box on top is actually the display that'll be outside the cabinet so I can monitor it. It comes in on the back side, comes out on the front side, loops back around, and you remember that box that I built for the splitting the neutral and ground so that I would have one for each inverter. Well, I got that installed right there, got everything tied in, connected up. I decided to use the split loom because it was more flexible and gave me a little bit more ability to manipulate the wires than that Liquidite. It was just way too rigid. So if we come over here and look, you can see on this particular inverter right here, this light is really bright and it's giving me problems because of the lighting in here. But so this side right here actually comes out, comes down, comes around, and is the line 1 input to my electrical panel. This line over here does the same thing, comes around, and it is the line 2 input to the electrical panel. So I have split phase, line 1 coming out of this panel right here, line 2 coming out of this panel right here. Now if we go over to the shore power side of it, shore power comes into this, comes out, loops around, goes into here. Try to get some light in there so you can see, but on the back side I've got 2 cables coming out of that. One goes to the line 1, and you can see the black wire right there. Line 1 goes to the ACN of this inverter. Line 2 over here, you can see the red wire there. Line 2 comes over to the ACN of this inverter. So now I have split phase in, split phase out. I've got a 220 volt system in the bus that will run my mini splits. It was quite a challenge to get all that wiring in there. It was it was a lot of work trying to manipulate those wires and get them in there. It was not as easy as I thought it would be, to be honest with you, but we got it done. Now let's talk about Setback. So I would have been a lot further along, except that I ran out of my stash of those are 6-gauge wires. I ran out of my stash of 6-gauge ferrules, so I had to wait for those to come in, and that set me back a little bit. One of the other challenges that I ran into in planning and working on getting my batteries in here, I realized that this back inverter right here is too low. I'm not going to be able to get my batteries in there. I mean, they'll fit, but I won't have any room for cable management or anything. So I'm going to have to raise that inverter up to be able to accommodate the batteries. I won't have to raise the front one because the connections and all of that stuff will actually be to the rear of the inverter. So I'm not going to have to raise that one, but I've got a plan, and I'm going to try to get that done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run a piece of 2x across the top from the outside of this one all the way back over to there, and then I'm going, because I have to clear this, because as you can see I put Reflectix in, it's underneath this plywood, and then I'll be able to raise it up enough to clear this and provide me the clearance that I need to be able to get my batteries in. Let's talk about this little ceiling panel here. So this is another setback, and it's going to create some work for me, but my original intent on this panel was to paint it, and when I cut it to fit, it was a little bit tight. As you can see right here, it kind of cracked out. Well, once I got it in, I couldn't get it back out. I decided that I liked the way it looked, the way that it was, and I was not going to try to paint it in here over the top of all of this felt. So I left it as it is. But the setback is, in doing all of that, there is no wiring and no lights currently configured in there. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to get some wiring up into that ceiling so that I can put my DC lights up there and have some lights in this. Because as you can see, it is really dark without any lights. And these little LED lights that I'm stringing up, they work great at night, but not during the day. They don't provide enough light to actually work off of, which is why I have to use this little flashlight. So that's setback number 2. First one is the inverter. I got to raise it. That's setback number 1. And then one of the other challenges that I had is I was trying to work on getting all the connections set up for my batteries. And I had the wire, but I didn't have the lugs. So I had to order those, and they're not going to be here until tomorrow, which means I likely won't be able to get them until Monday. But that's where we're at right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to take care of getting that inverter raised, and do some other things and show you, and with the magic of YouTube, and just like that. Check it out, everyone. So my inverter is now raised up. As you can see, there's quite a bit of a mismatch there. I raised it up about 2 inches. Did what I said. I put my can't see it very well because it's painted, but put the 2x4 across the top and the back, but it's up against here for spacing and stuff. I have another one underneath the bottom down here to space the bottom out. Got everything installed. All I had to do was pick it up off the rack and lay it down in the bottom of the drawer, and went to town on it. So let's talk about a few other things that I did. So as you can see, I've got this battery cable distribution thing set up and put in. Basically each one of these right here goes to the batteries. There's 1, 2, 3, then there's one over here that's 4. I've got the ends marked so I don't lose sight of what's what. They all come over here, and then they'll tie into this bus bar that I have over here. The 4 batteries will tie into this. From this, the positive will go from here to my cutoff switch, which I got installed as well. You can see right there, it's a marine grade 500 amp power switch. And then from this back terminal back here, it will come up, go around, and drop into the bottom of the Lynx distributor and connect in under here. On the ground side, it is an exact duplicate. You can see the cables over here. They'll go into this ground bus bar over here. From here, I'll have a lug here with 4/0 cable that will go up and connect into this battery monitor for my Redodo batteries. From there, I'll have one that will connect from here to the battery minus on my Victron Energy Smart Shunt. And then from there, this will come in and come down and connect into the bottom of the Lynx distributor here. All my distribution will be coming out this side. The close side inverter is going to go up top. Far side inverter is going to go on the bottom. I intend to make all of the cables the exact same length, and then I'll just do routing to dress them up and bring them into place. The other connection I have is for my smart controllers, charge controller, solar charge controller. That'll be coming into here as well. I've already got all the fuses and everything. For the most part, I think I have all the lugs and stuff that I need to be able to go ahead and get the DC distribution in place. And I think I'm going to start working on that next. As you can see, coming in from the bottom here, if I can get a good view there, the positive and negative connections for the batteries. Both inverters are exactly the same, so I'll be routing those. I measured. I do have plenty of clearance for all of my cable distribution now. I can actually get my AC wires up out of the place and secure them so that they don't have a problem. A couple of other things that I did while I was out is I got my smart battery sense in place. I can monitor what's going on with the batteries via Bluetooth from this thing. This is a drop down voltage converter. It will take 24 volts in from the system, drop it down to 5, and then I'll be able to run that 5 volts into the Lynx distributor so that all the lights work to let me know if I got a fuse blown or not. One of the other things that I did, if you come over here, I got my Servo GX in. That's right here. I put all the extra hardware and stuff. These are the terminators and stuff. Just got them in place. I've got all the other cables that you need to make all the connections, and I've got a touchscreen 50. All of my screens are going to come up right here. So I've got my electrical management system screen that's right here that will be up in this area. I've got my Redodo battery monitor screen that will go up in this area, and I've got my Touch 50 screen for the Servo GX. All three of those will fit right here in a panel specifically made for that right up here. Might say that it's overkill to have the two shunts in the system, but well, I like redundancy, and I wanted to make sure that I had plenty of visibility on what's going on in this system locked up in this cabinet. So that's why I did it. I think at this point, one of the things that I want to do is start working on getting some of these terminations in place. No, there is one thing that I wanted to talk about as well. I had almost had another moment where I had to go back and undo what I had done to get it fixed. But my original intent was to take all of these small devices like my shunts, battery sense, servo GX, tie them to this bus bar to give them power. And I realized that if I did that, I'd never be able to turn them off. So I think what I'm going to do is put a small distribution panel up here somewhere and provide power to it, which will get power off the back side of my cutoff switch, so that I can actually remove power from those and not have them constantly powered 24/7 no matter what. So that's what I did, and it's early in the afternoon. It didn't really take a whole lot of time, just fixing this up. I did this last night and needed to fix some things because it was a little awkward in here last night. It was kind of dark, so I had a few issues that I had to sort out, but got everything clamped, got everything in place, and ready to rock and roll with this thing. So as I've alluded to previously, but I do want to revisit it. So all of the batteries are going to sit in this area right here. I've got 8 100 amp hour batteries, and they'll be connected to create a 400 amp hour 24 volt string that'll be sitting in here. All of these will be connecting individually to each battery. On the positive side and the negative side, I've got 125 amp marine rated battery fuses that will connect to the top of the positive post of each battery. 24 volt battery, as I should say, because they're connected in series, and then those are all connected in parallel. And then this will be the bus bar that consolidates the battery power. The other one will be the bus bar that consolidates the ground. And then this will be the main distribution. One of the reasons that I did this, and it actually makes sense, and I've seen a lot of it in other places as well, but Redodo says don't try to pull power directly off the leads of the batteries to bus them together. So that's what I did. I had a couple of these already, and decided to use them and get them in place. For these insulator blocks that you see in the plywood, I did this on purpose to make it larger so it was easier to get on and off. But on the back side, this bolt right here is countersunk into the plywood, and then a hole drilled so that it'll go up into the insulator and tighten down. And then now I can tighten this down. There'll be a lug on top of this, 4/0 lug that'll go from here to here. I haven't made up my mind if I'm going to connect from here to here or here to here. Probably go from the bottom, because I need to make my positive and negative leads the same length. It's a lot shorter distance here, so I need to be able to add distance to the lines to get them where I need to be, because they need to be the same distance as the other side. One of the other things that I wanted to say is all these cables that you see right here that are going to go to each one of the batteries and then over to the bus bar, both positive and ground, are all exactly the same size. They're all exactly 36 inches long. I tested and measured and wanted to make sure that it would work. So they're all 36 inches. They're all 4-gauge wire and 105 degree insulation. So that wire is rated at like 160 amps. So I'm more than capable of handling any power that comes out of those batteries with the 125 amp fuses that are going to be sitting on them. I've already got all of the fuses. The inverters take 300 amp fuses, and I've got 2 of those. Those will go inside of here. I'm going to put the, I think I may have already said it, but I'm going to put the far side inverter on the bottom, near side on the top. In the center will go the solar charge controller. just to be able to just distribute that long wire a little bit, because this one back here is going to determine the overall length of the positive and negative leads for both inverters. And I'm going to have to be creative with the wire routing and bring it all together and make sure that it all ties in nice and neat. I don't want a jungle mess of wires back here. I wish I had the 4-gauge wires lug so that I could get all of this terminated and clean it up, but well, that's not happening right now. One of those setbacks that you just have to wait until it gets here and then get it done. The advantage that I have though is that I can actually take this completely out and get all the wires terminated outside where I have room to work, and then or even in here, but I can move this out of the way and get everything terminated and crimped where it's easy to work with, and then just put it back in. Because if you look, they're just screwed into the wall here and screwed in over here. Can't see it, but those shiny spots are screws coming in from this side. I didn't want to screw this way because I didn't want sharp points coming through the wall and putting a hole in my battery. Mounted the servo the same way. I just cut a piece of plywood that would fit around it in the right dimensions, screwed that in. It's not going anywhere, it's solid. So all I need to do now is work on all my data connections between all the devices, get those up, get everything set in place. One of the things I'm going to have to do is figure out how to charge those capacitors on those inverters before I flip that switch right there, and I'll have to figure that out. But at any rate, that's what I was able to get done today on this particular part of it. I think what I need to do right now is I'm going to shut this down for right now, do some cleanup work and get some things put away and cleaned up and ready for the next phase of operation, and I'll be back when I can come up with something that we need to do. But before I go, I do want to revisit something that I talked about last week with the mini split that I had up there. I said I was going to take it down, and I did. You can see the line set where it terminates back there. And the head unit is sitting over here on top of my cabinets out of the way. But there was a question that somebody had brought up, and I thought it was a really good question, and I looked into it and stuff. The question was, in the last episode I talked about the 0.41 amps on the head unit and the fact that it got its power from the outside unit. When the question was, is that 0.41 amps the entire system, or is it just the head unit? Well, obviously it's just the head unit, and that actually caused me to do a little bit more investigation, and I'll take you around and show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so here is the head unit. This is going to be going in underneath the bus. You can see I've got my line set coming down right there. That'll connect into it. They go in right back here behind this cover panel. But the one thing that I wanted to point out, and I'm going to try to get this so that you can see it clearly, if I can. I don't know if that's focusing or not, but because I can't really tell because of the glare. But anyway, I wanted to point out it's a 220 volt unit. It says 208 to 230. The current on it is 9 amps. The minimum circuit ampacity is 14 amps. And the max fuse rating is 20. And so realizing that these current ratings for this outside unit are inclusive of the overhead units inside, because they get their power from this unit right here. So I think thought that was interesting. I'm sitting here trying to do calculations and figuring out how long this is going to run on my batteries, using the circuit breakers, 2 15s and a 20, and it was like I need 4,000 amp hours worth of batteries to keep this thing running. And no, not really. I think I've calculated with this thing running maximum of 14 amps with my 400 amp hour batteries, I can probably keep it running without any other charging inputs whatsoever for about 4 or 5 hours. So that's more than enough, and that's with everything full bore max blast. It's 500 degrees outside, the inside temperature is set for 50, and everything's on high. So these things are really efficient. I'm looking forward to trying to get this thing in. This frame that you see right here is the actual base frame that I'm going to use to support this and put it in under the bus. So I wanted to share that and provide a little bit more insight on that and follow up to that question. So I hope that was informative, and I hope that gives you a little bit of information on how much current, power, and all that stuff these things are off. So there it is. I appreciate your time. Thank you for sticking with me. Like and subscribe. Give me some comments. Tell me what you want to see, what you don't want to see, and ways that I can make this better so you'll want to watch it. Holy cow, yo, I found another project. Look what I done did. This actually is my 30 amp shore power cord that will provide power from my generator into the bus. And if we follow this around, you can see that it is a 25-foot cord. It is 8 gauge. It is rated to provide at least 30 amps, if not more. And on this end, I've got a plug that connects directly into my generator. But look what's laying next to it. I got my 50 amp cord as well. And if we follow this around, come back over here, this is actually 6 gauge rated at 50 amps. Actually, it's much higher than that. And here is the other end of it and the connection. And I'll see if I can do this. Unscrew this one. Pull it out. Line it up. There we go. Twist it in. And tighten up the collar. And I just switched from 30 amp. Not quite lined up. Just switched from 30 amp to 50 amp power. Tighten this baby up. Nice and secure. There we have it. One thing I'm noticing is I am not going to drain my tanks while I'm connected to shore power, but to be perfectly honest with you, considering how close that is, I don't know that I want to be that stupid anyway. But that's cool. I wanted to give you a brief insight on a little bit of other stuff that I've done. So now I have a 30 amp cord that'll connect to my generator. I got a 50 amp cord that will connect to shore power, and I have 2 different sources. Most of you might be thinking, well, why didn't you just get an adapter? And well, I thought about that, but the one thing that I kept thinking about is I already had the 30 amp and I couldn't get an adapter that would adjust the 30 amp up to a 50. When I started looking at adapters that would drop my 50 down to the connection for the 30s, it was almost the same price. So I just said, screw it, I'm going to have 2 cords. So screw it, I got 2 cords. I forget the actual type of plug this is, but I will figure it out and throw up a little chat or a little notice up at the top to let you know what this is. That's just a standard 50 amp fuse and then a standard 30 amp. These are both split base connectors, as you can see. So line neutral ground, line neutral ground, and gives me 240. So I just wanted to bring you up to speed. That's something else I was working on. I meant to try to record building that 50 amp cord, but trying to work with that 6 gauge wire and those little bitty plugs was a pain in the, well, you know the word. Anyway, I just kept working and wound up getting it done before I could think about turning the camera on. But it is done, and I wanted to show you what it looks like. Now, one thing I'm noticing on both of these, I'm going to have to do something to fix this. I thought I was cutting straight, but I guess I wasn't. Anyway, just wanted to bring you up to speed on that. A little bit more electrical work being done. Now I've got my power cords. I can connect up to shore power anywhere. All right, I might figure out something else and come back. It might be tomorrow. We'll see. Well, good morning, everyone. It is Sunday, March the 30th, and I did a few things yesterday evening I want to walk you through before we get into today's pressing activities. And what I did is actually setting the stage for what I hope to get done today. So let's try to do a quick rundown. One of the first things I want to show you is I got my solar combiner box in yesterday. I got that put up there. I'll be bringing in the solar at some point in the future, but I wanted to make sure it had a spot. So I got that in, got it mounted, got it set up. I don't have to worry about opening it up because all of my connections will come in here on the bottom with these connectors right here. So I've got the tools to create those, and I'll just plug and play. One of the other things that I did in order to make sure that I didn't have another one of those so-called setbacks in this video, I went through and got all my 4/0 lugs out and started running through how they were going to be in place and stuff, as you can see back here. So I've got one right here, got one right here, and they're all oriented in the direction that they will be when I have the wire in them. I've got me a little Sharpie, and when I do the wires, I'm gonna actually make a little index mark on them between the wire and the lugs so that I don't screw it up, because you're not gonna twist that 4/0 cable very well, especially on these little short runs like this. That's going to be a lot of fun. I do want to point out as well, though, in some cases, like right here, these are 4/0 by 3/8 lugs, and over here this is 4/0 by 5/16. I don't know if I can get this off and show you. Well, that didn't work. But anyway, I don't know if it's going to show up in the camera very well, but trust me, it's 4/0 by 5/16. So all of the connections here on the links distributor are all 4/0 by 5/16. The lugs from a power switch are 3/8. This is 3/8. I may actually change this. I may do something different here. I haven't made up my mind yet, but I'll do that. Bringing it down underneath and going over to the inverter, you can see I've got two lugs there. Those are also 4/0 by 5/16 hanging off the bottom of there. I've got the same thing on the other side. So I've got all my lugs in place all the way through the entire distribution system for everything that's 4/0. So I think I'm going to work on trying to get that all done today. One of the other things that I did is I went ahead yesterday afternoon and created the wiring for my converter. It'll take 24 volts in, put 5 volts out, all my fuse lights will work. There's a crap ton of videos on how to do that hack. Bottom line, you just take the cable that comes with the the links distributor, cut the tip off, use the yellow and black wire right here. Black is ground, yellow is power, and I've got a red power in, ground in, that will provide the power to it, and then it'll output the 5 volts and run that. One of the other things that I found that I'm going to be putting up in here, I just got to figure out where is, if you remember, I was telling you yesterday that the way that I was setting this up, I wasn't going to be able to turn anything off. So what I'm going to do is I found a little DC distribution block. It's a fuse holder distribution block. I'm going to put that in here somewhere, probably right up here, and route the wires to it, and put a 30-amp breaker on it and let it come directly from my power source, so that I can turn her on and off and be able to have the ability to control that stuff and turn it off. So anyway, that's in a nutshell, that's what I did yesterday afternoon. So now I'm going to kind of clean up my work table outside, get my wire out, start measuring and cutting, and bring you back in and show you some of the things that I have done and how I'm doing it, so that if you want a reference for that in the future, you have one. But we'll see what we can do. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I hope you're getting some information out of this. Please give me some comments, like, subscribe, and let's get after it. Well, I'm back, and I got her done for the most part. So let's run through this. I got to take it all back apart so I can heat shrink everything, get everything cleaned up and tightened and torqued back down. But want to give you a rundown of what I got going on. So starting right here, this is the primary output from the negative side of the batteries. It will come up, go to the B- side of this shunt. This connects over to the B- side of this shunt. This shunt actually goes down and comes back around. It's kind of hard to see, but it connects right there. It's the negative input into the links distributor. Going over here to the positive side, I've got me a marine rated battery fuse right here. It's a 400 amp fuse. It protects the circuit from the plate up to the links distributor. So it comes around, goes into the switch, comes out of the switch, comes around, goes down, comes back up into here. And this provides me the positive side input for the links distributor. These two cables right here are the power cables that run over to the inverter over here. We'll shine a little light. You can see them going up in there. One thing that I did find out that was a bit of a shock, and I had to adjust, is that those holes where those cables are coming up through the bottom of the inverter, they're not big enough for a 4-aught lug. So what I had to do is I had to bring the setup inside of here, put the lugs on, feed the wire through, then put the lugs on, heat shrink them, and then drop them. And as you can see, they're connected up inside of there, battery plus, battery minus on that one. So you want another setback? Let's talk about another setback. So I got all of my distribution in place right here. It's all 4-aught. The only challenge that I ran into is I am 4 feet too short to provide power to the other inverter. Another setback. I'm going to have to order some more 4-aught, and hopefully I'll have enough to get everything done, because not only do I have to do it on this side, I have to do it on the other side for the 12 volt. So I should have 21 feet after I get the 4 feet for this. And well, I'm hoping that 21 feet will be enough to do what I need to do with 4-aught on the other side. But anyway, that's where I am. So I need to take a break and run to the store. Once I get back from the store, I'm going to be disconnecting all of this. I'm going to be putting heat shrink on it. I'm going to be cleaning it up, and I'm going to put it back in, and it's going to be final and permanent. So let's see what we can get done later, and I'll be back. Well, welcome back, everyone. I got her done. Let's run through this real quick. So I started right here where my marine rated battery fuse is, put my heat shrink on, wrapped it around, got it up to my cutoff switch, then went to the other side, took care of that, brought it up around, got it coming back into the bottom of the links distributor there. Also notice that I've got my 300 amp mega fuse going to both of the positive and negative cables that are going over to my inverter. So that's all in place, done, torque, tight, everything's good. Over here on the other side, started with, if I can figure out how to get this working right, I started with my cable down there, brought it up, got it connected up into the first shunt up here. I don't know if you remember earlier or not, but I had that cable pointing straight out, but it actually wound up being less in a bind by doing it the way that I did. Because if you see, it actually goes a little bit behind that plywood over there. It takes some of that stress off. That one in the corner right there concerns me. That's under a lot of bind, but I'm hoping that it'll be all right the way that it is. In the future, I may wind up moving one of those, putting a longer cable and getting it in less of a bind, but we'll see. I'll check it out and keep an eye on it. And from there, it goes over to this side of the shunt right here, which is going to the system minus. It comes down, loops around, and then comes in right there at the bottom of the links distributor. So at this point, I've got all of my DC distribution in place, routed up. I need to do some cable management and stuff. It goes without saying, but I'll get that all taken care of. I got a couple other things that I want to do first. Wanted to give you some insight on this. I just for the record, I use my heat gun. I don't use lighters on stuff like that. I see a lot of people doing it, but I don't like doing that. I use my heat gun on all that. Everything is nice and solid, tight. It's all good to go. Everything's torqued down. I'm ready to rock and roll. I wish I wouldn't have run out of cable. I would have this whole thing done, except for my battery and bus bar connections. Anyway, it's hot in here. I'm going to take a break, and then I got one more thing I want to come back and try to take care of, and then I'll bring you back in the loop on that, and then we're going to wrap this one up. Well, I'm back. It's late, but look what I done got done, y'all. I got my battery cables connected to my bus bar, both on the positive side and over there on the negative side. Heat shrink lugs on. All my battery cables over here are set up and terminated the same way, both sides. I got lucky. The mail was able to put the stuff in my mailbox today, and I got my lugs, so I got her done. I'm gonna call it a wrap on this one. All my wires are ready. I am ready to put the batteries in and get them connected and have 24 volts into this system. The one thing that I still need to do, though, is I do need to put all of my data cables and communication cables between all the devices. I need to provide power to my charge controller and over there to my DC to DC charger. I will get that done in very short order. I have a lot of cable management to do. I will get that done as well. Get this all cleaned up. I've got to get it cleaned up and everything in place before I put my batteries in. But I will get my remaining 4-aught wire that I need on Tuesday. So by Wednesday, this should all be done. One of the biggest things that I don't like is this positive bus bar here. Bare copper all open and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't come with a cover. I guess if I'm careful, I don't have to worry about it, but I don't like those things being open like that. I'm trying to get everything in here from a connection, equipment, all of that stuff all in place and done, because I don't want to drop a tool across the battery. So once I get all that squared away and get everything in, I'll get the batteries in. We'll have 24 volts in here. I'm not going to apply power until I have everything ready and connected and can validate everything. And we'll start moving on. And then once I get this one done, across the hallway, over to the 12 volt side, do the same thing all over again. That one should be a lot easier, not as much to go in there. The ground side will be about the same from the Lynx distributor and stuff. I'll have the battery bus bars, but I'll only have one inverter, and I'll only have 4 batteries. It's going to result in the same number of connections because I've got 4 negative on that side, 4 positive on this side, and then in the middle of there tied together to put them in series so that I have 4 24 volt strings tied in parallel. So from the cabling perspective on this, it won't change very much, but there isn't quite as much going in over there, so I should be able to get that done a lot quicker. So maybe next weekend we'll be done with electrical and we'll be able to move on to maybe getting some plumbing. I might mix in some plumbing this week if I can have time during the week to do a couple of lunchtime blitzes. I need to get that plumbing done and start working on my AC distribution. But anyway, so that's what I've been doing. That's what I went off and took care of. Got her all done. And now I am going to shut this one down. I'm going to call it a wrap. I appreciate you being here. Like, subscribe, tell me what you think, and we'll be back again soon. Have a great day.